How are you making out today, Paul?
Good.
Busy day in the repair center?
Yeah, we're always busy.
I see you're working on a GameCube. Your station looks amazing. There is a ton of stuff here, Paul. Let's start off by just what is some of the stuff we're looking at here? What is all this?
A whole lot of everything. Most of it's just stuff I need to be able to test and repair every console we get in here. So it's a lot of controllers, AC adapters, various games.
Yeah, is that power cords for what, every console you're going to be using?
Pretty much, yeah. Sometimes multiple, just so we have a couple extra to troubleshoot with.
Just in case,
Yeah.
Yep, I know what you mean. What tools do you find you use a lot here?
I mean, you're pretty standard stuff. Tweezers, screwdrivers, soldering iron. Nothing
What's that
too
white
crazy.
lithium grease?
We generally use this for lubricating like rails in.
The systems where the disc slides in and out?
Yeah.
I know what you mean. What are you working on right now?
I'm just testing some consoles. I'm not really doing any repairs. Just
Okay, so going through controller ports right now, making
Yeah.
sure they're all working. What's a common issue old consoles seem to have? Like, what breaks on an old console?
Really depends on the console. There's a lot of things. A lot of the older disc-based consoles, the laser wears out over time, so we either have to readjust some things or replace some parts in there just to get it reading again, just because that's how these old lasers are.
Will it read sometimes and not others, or it either works or it doesn't work?
Sometimes it depends on the discs. It'll be able to read like really nice looking discs, but you get one scratch on a disc and it won't work on that console, but it'll work on every other one.
What's the oldest stuff you work on here in the department?
Over here, generally the oldest thing we'll do would be like Atari 2600s.
That's going way back, Paul.
Yeah, 1977.
What breaks on those? There's no disk drive or anything.
Strangely, they're actually very resilient consoles. They're usually working, but they just get dirty over the years. Just dirt in all the switches in the cartridge slot will just make them not work. So he's got to clean out the switches in the cartridge slot real well, and they're good as new.
Kind of applies, like they don't make them like they used to. This older stuff really kind of was meant to last.
Like I said, I've been kicking around for 50 plus years, and they still work after a good cleaning.
Are the older consoles like that any harder to work on than newer ones, just because they're so old, or vice versa, maybe?
It depends on the console. Obviously, with the older stuff, they use a lot of technology that's not used anymore. So you sometimes need special equipment to troubleshoot stuff like that, and there's less information about it out there because not many people work on the older stuff like Ataris.
Do you have to have a certain TV for the Atari?
You would need a TV that supports RF, since Atari outputs via RF.
The screw thing.
The little coaxial connector.
Jeez, that's the old way of hooking stuff up. Oh, man. And what, be on channel 3 or something like that?
Yeah, either channel 2 or channel 3 for the Ataris.
What about, do you ever get something come in that you think this is just too far gone, and then like, have you been able to fix them somehow? Like, are you surprised that you were able to get something working that seems so beyond repair?
Super Nintendos get like that a lot. They'll come in, they won't even turn on, and usually it's a fuse that we can replace, and they'll turn on and work perfectly fine. And other times, we can never figure out why they don't turn on.
Does it look like a normal little fuse that I would have seen in like a...
It's not like a glass fuse. They're little plastic fuses. But it's the same concept, just newer technology.
How come the power ports on the back of the Super Nintendo break so much? No other console, like, was it just the plastic? Or are people rough with it? Or
usually when you have a barrel connector like that, it'll be metal. When they started making the ones in the Super Nintendos out of plastic, which that plastic specifically, it reacts with UV light and gets real brittle over time. Mm-hmm. That piece just snaps off in the middle, which you don't have that issue with metal barrel connectors usually.
That makes sense to me. All right, just one or two more questions here. Do you have a favorite console to repair?
It's rewarding to work on PS3s. I'm not going to call it favorite, but it's rewarding when you get them working.
And what's a problem you see a lot of times with those?
The most common one we will work on here is usually the laser's not working. Which, especially with like the backwards compatible PS3s, there's 6 different discs you have to test to make sure it reads all 6 of them.
Wait, there's black and blue.
Well, backwards compatible PS3,
Oh.
there's 2 different types of PS3 games, 3 different types of PS2 games, and PS1 games.
Wow. And then for fine-tuning that laser, is it a screw adjustment?
For PS3s, they don't have a screw, but PS2s, GameCubes, PS1, stuff like that, they have manual screws.
Oh, and what's PS3?
There isn't an actual adjustment for those. We usually have to replace the laser.
Aha.
Because I believe it's all done in the firmware of the console.
Oh. Huh. One more question for you, Paul. What is something maybe that you see people trying to fix their own consoles at home? What's a mistake they might make that either they finally tried to fix it and they have to send it in to you because they can't? Like, what's something people are doing wrong if they're doing it at home?
We usually don't see too much of anything that bad. Sometimes you get people that took their console apart and they lost track of where the screws went, and we get them with the screws all mix-match around.
Is that stuff we have in spades, like, that we can replace?
Well, usually all the screws are there. They're just in the wrong spots. Another thing I see is the NES, the tray.
Uh-huh.
You have to slide it underneath the motherboard.
Right.
Sometimes you see it where it's on top of the motherboard.
And so then what? It won't push all the way down, or won't stay down?
It usually either won't lock in the down position, or it's just really stiff to try and get it into the down position. It doesn't really feel good. So you just gotta slide the tray forward and pop it into place.
Replacing the pin connectors is one that I remember I learned way back in the day when I started here, and that was a fun one. Do we still do them a bunch at a time, where you open up a bunch of consoles and do one step?
Yeah, we usually do them in batches like that.
Okay.
Where you lay out a bunch of them, go through, replace all the pin connectors, and test them.
Well, that's pretty good, Paul. Anything you feel you wanted to answer I didn't get to ask?
Nothing particular that comes to mind.
All right, sounds good to me, Paul. Well, appreciate you taking the time. I'll take that mic back from you, and we'll continue on with the stream. Thanks a lot, Paul.